Okay, so this is part two. My friend who came to visit me today is he's Italian, and so he doesn't say that he's white. He says that he's Italian. So the last time he visited me, made a he made a comment. So he made a comment and he said he called South St. Pete. He referred to South St. Pete as Colored Town. And so when he said that, I was like, excuse me, what? And he said, well, can I call it Colored Town? And I was like, no, you may not. And he said, well, Black Town? I say, no. How about call it South St. Pete? I know what you're talking about. And they black folks know what you're talking about. White folks know what you're talking about. It's an area in St. Pete, South St. Pete, where a lot of African Americans or black folks live. So he said that, and I think he was like, "Well, I'm not racist. I'm not racist." And a lot of times, oftentimes, in my opinion, now this it's just my opinion. In my opinion, a lot of white folks, non African Americans, or non black folks, or non brown folks, who are racist, are find themselves racist, use that phrase. That's the first thing they shout is, I'm not racist, I'm not racist. So today his visit was I his visit, like the last time he came to the neighborhood, I heard him visiting with our neighbor across the street. And so I texted him and I asked him, was he visiting with our neighbor across the street? And he said, who is this? Like, my number wasn't in his phone anymore. And so then, like, today he came up and I was like, so what's up with that? I thought that you were not going to come again. And he was like, oh, no, it wasn't that, whatever, whatever. And so I was like, okay, whatever. Exactly, whatever. Um, so I thought about it like maybe twice, but then I just let it go because I'm like, he was the first person who really reached out to me. Even though at the time when I moved here, I had a black neighbor, but then he moved. Well, he moved after Vince moved. Well, after the Italian guy moved. But the Italian guy was the only person who came and reached out to me, and like he would help me with my groceries, and he was like really nice to me. Um the other people, they would speak, they were cordial, but they were not like, like I guess they were all right. um I have a female neighbor to the left, and I had a black male to the right. And the black male never spoke to me, never ever spoke to me. He spoke to me on the very last day before he moved out. So he never talked to me, never helped me with my grocery, never said anything to me. Vince, every time I had grocery to bring it to the house, he would help me. So, I mean, to me, he was a good neighbor. The other people, they were okay. But anyways, long story, back to the story of today. I've I used to collect African artifacts. And so I have a pretty good collection now. And so he looked at my collection. My collection comes from uh, all over. Um, I've never been to Africa. However, I have pieces from Kenya. I have pieces where I have a couple of pieces that come directly from Kenya because I have a teacher friend of mine who went to Kenya, and when he came back, he um, gave me the pieces that he acquired from Kenya. And so they came directly from Kenya, and I have them. And so I have a rain stick that my uncle had, and I'm not sure where he got it from, but it's an African piece. Um, and so, like, I have some pieces from um, some other places that, like I got them from the Zornil Festival. I got them from um, Louisiana. I got them from Mississippi. So I got them from different places. And like I said, I collected these artifacts for a number of years. And so I don't collect them anymore, but I have a nice little collection. And so he was fascinated by the collections today. Now, he's only been in my apartment twice making today, other than to just bring in the groceries. So, like, whatever. Um, so today, our conversation was about the collection that I have, and I have some canes. I have, like I said, I have a rain stick. I have a spear, um, and I have um, just some good pieces. Um, and then he said something about my complexion. And also, he said something about my wind chimes. If you can hear in the background, you hear my wood chimes, wind chimes, which also on the streets, on the street, there are many wind chimes on the streets, but there are no wooden wind chimes. And I thought that to be very interesting. Whatever. But I just brought a piece of home to the street. But anyways, he said something about my complexion today. And he said, what he said was, but you're light skinned. And I was like, yes. I've never heard a white person has never called me light skinned. And so, LA, this is what I said. I said, well, my ancestors didn't have a good hiding place. And he said, huh? What did you say? And I said it again. My ancestors didn't have a good hiding place. And he said, oh, I get it. And I left it at that. And he said, okay, I'm going to go now. I'm going to go now. And I mean, I don't really care how he took it. Because I would say again, I am good in my skin. I am very good in my skin. I thank Randy Lightfoot for giving me that fire that I didn't get at Columbia High School or Lake City Junior High School or Columbia County Schools at all. I didn't get at Florida State University, but I got it when I got to Pinellas County. And then I began to teach myself and teach the students that God allowed me to teach about about our American history. I love Netflix. And the reason that I do is because they allow so many documentaries about our culture to be on be on Netflix. Um, and it's good. It's just good to see people who look like me on television nowadays without filter. I mean, there is a um there is a show called um oh gosh, I hate when this happens. There's a show called, oh Lord. There's a show on Netflix that talks about, oh, it's called Descendants. Thank you, God. It's called Descendants, and it talks about the ship that came after 1865 when slavery was abolished. The slave trade was abolished uh, in the United States. And Timothy Mayer in Mobile, Alabama, made a bet that he could get a slave ship into America after slavery had been abolished, after the slave trade had been abolished. I think it was either 1808 or 1865. I know that slavery was supposed to have been abolished in 1865. But anyways, in 2020, they found the ship in Mobile, Alabama. And so if I would encourage you to watch this on Netflix. It's called Descendants, and it's a very good documentary that talks about this slave ship that had been found by scuba divers in Mobile, Alabama. And that means that this guy had this ship sent directly to America. And so I had to share this today because my show is about whatever God tells me to do. And so like God just gave me this today to share. Um I'm just like very thankful for my life and where and the path that I have that God allowed me to take. Because like I said, I was in many rooms where I didn't feel like I I didn't feel there was racism. Now I'm sure that there was because I look back. I look back and I see that there had to have been. I look back and I see where there was and I didn't realize it was, or I was just oblivious to many facts that were going on, and I was just like, I don't know. I mean, God just protected me from that, you know, and that's what He does. He, like it says, we will know better by and by. Sometimes He keeps us from the stuff that we we don't need to know. We know when we're supposed to know. And so that's what I have today. That's what I have today. I'm grateful for my life. I'm grateful for the people that God has allowed in my life when He has allowed them in my life. I'm very, very thankful for my path and for my friendships, for my lifelong friendships. I am, and that's what God has allowed me to share with you today on the Veronica James Show. Thank you.